Hey everyone, I hope you're alright. I hope the better weather and the promise of a return to semi-normality in the nearest future has lifted your spirits a little bit. What is normality nowadays anyway? Does anybody know? But yeah, this is part three of Three Thoughts. It's about fear and anxiety and overcoming those two things and growing through that to become a better person. We've got a couple of things happening with Mad Truth soonish as well. One is a couple of collaborations with Pythian Club and Youth Action to do with, I guess, young people, mental health, supporting people in the community that need supporting. Another one is original clothing design. So the idea is to take visual art, poetry, and clothing and combine them in a way that's hopefully original and cool looking. And yeah, thanks for all the support and all the love, and go and like the Facebook page, support the YouTube and all that. Yeah, I appreciate all of you so much, and yeah, speak soon. Fear is a natural and very real emotion. Children stare deeply into the all-encompassing darkness of their rooms at night and project into that darkness all kinds of unimaginable and horrific creatures that, although unreal, are in some ways as tangible and solid as the ground we walk on or the bricks that we use to build up our houses, protecting us from the outside world. In my experience, anxiety manifests itself as a lack of trust in myself, in my abilities and my capability to be a fully formed, healthy, put-together person. Anyone who knows me knows my history and my tendency towards self-destruction. These feelings in my case were a longing for annihilation and a return to the silence of anything other than waking life, which was a continuous and arduous task, extended for periods of days due to insomnia. Brought on, by the way, by the very same anxiety that refused me rest, peace, or acceptance of where and who I was at that time in my life. Thankfully, we change all the time though. You now are totally different from you 6 months ago and a year ago. In fact, I can't name the study because I'm not that professional, but I read that every 2 years or something like that, each and every cell in your body, from organ cells to blood cells to your hair and your fingernails, dies and is replaced by new healthy cells. And then there's you listening to this, totally oblivious to all this madness going on in your body. On both a micro and a macro level, we shift and change as seamlessly as the seasons or as frequently as my moods, which is still very volatile and unpredictable even after all the work I've done trying to do my best to grow into that idea of being a healthy, fully formed, put together person. In meditation, we learn that our feelings and thoughts are separate and somewhat detached from our true selves. They're almost like visitors and come and go as they please of their own volition, sometimes exposing us to intense, beautiful things. But also the dark, destructive and painful emotions such as anxiety can possess a person. Those feelings of such a gravitational pull that they consume, they swallow you, until your identity, personhood and life becomes based around merely surviving and attempting to medicate this thing that ultimately is still abstract from who you are as a person. You may find yourself terrified of heights and standing on top of a high ledge with deep blue water below you. You may be shaking and frozen, but with the help of others and a little bit of courage, you could jump from that ledge into the unknown depths of that water and the possible beauty and knowledge that lies beneath the surface. Fear and anxiety does not define you. As I've written and spoken about before, I saw a therapist for a while on the grounds of being mental. I was ravaged by anxiety and could be likened to a derelict bus stop smothered in graffiti, doused in litter and broken glass, with the timetable torn to shreds and the pieces of destroyed paper drift down this empty street, hoping for a better life elsewhere. Intensely self-loathing, these thoughts were overwhelming and they were having extremely negative effects on my life and my relationships, not only with myself but all the people that I loved. On my first meeting, I was brought into a large room, sterile and medical looking, with 2 chairs in the centre. Sitting down, the therapist sat opposite me and started asking me all the usual questions. I couldn't sit still to save my life, and I remember my limbs bending and contorting, desperately trying to cover my chest, and just beneath that, my vulnerable, damaged, broken little heart. I had no reason to be anxious other than the fact that I was, but simultaneously, perpetually a bit bemused and a bit pissed off, like I was better than this or something. My family is already quite superstitious. Don't put new shoes on the table, don't walk under a ladder, because that displeases the ladder god, obviously. My nan frequented fortune tellers and seances while she was alive. I myself have had some very bizarre experiences relating to the paranormal and the magical. Back in the clinic, I looked to my left out of a huge window, pouring light into the room. There, perched on a branch of the tall tree in the centre of a small courtyard, was a single magpie. This was another bad omen, I'd been taught. I told my therapist about what I was thinking, about how I'd attached all this meaning to this bird. There's one outside my window right now as I write this, staring me down. Any minute it's going to pull the scythe out from under its wing and slice my head off like a guillotine. The therapist was calm, with this eternally kind look on her face, as she explains to me the concept of magical thinking, an idea in psychology that suggests that anxiety caused by applying meaning to unrelated objects or events and connecting them together without any real cause is a coping mechanism usually originating from childhood, a way of making sense of things in your life that you have no way of making sense of. I learned so much during that year and a bit, and I'm so grateful to that particular woman and also the NHS. Everything, even anxiety, serves its purpose, usually to protect you from the real and unseen dangers of the world. But just as we learn to move and navigate the world, as we get older, we must also navigate uncharted territory in a way that is forthright and courageous. This is how we grow as people and find the strength within ourselves so that we no longer need to be afraid.